Thank you very much, Simon. We're all set for some great action here at Rockingham as ever. It is always fast and furious racing around the tight infield section and a bit of slipstreaming hopefully on the outer banking section as well.
Yeah, and a very hard course on tyres as well, the hardest track we go to for the tyres. So the front wheel drive cars are really going to be working against understeer during the course of the race, which could help Rob Austin there.
It could do with his rear-wheel drive Audi, so we'll have to wait and see exactly what he does. And of course, watch him off the line because, as we know, rear-wheel drive is pretty effective at getting these things off the line. Bit of traction on the rear axle, but he's going to be trying to beat the two Chevys that are up front at the moment. The car of Jason Plato, of course. They're away on the formation lap initially, and this gives us an opportunity to just see how the cars are all lined up. Chevrolet of Jason Plato then on pole position, his third pole of the season, his second pole here in 3 years. In fact, he does seem to go well on the Rockingham track. Second, Paul O'Neill, his best ever qualifying performance. He had a great second place finish here last year. Impressive stuff from him. And let's just confirm that lineup then. It's Plato and Paul O'Neill together, Rob Austin and Matt Neal on the second row of the grid. So Matt Neal's still in the hunt, very much so, starting in fourth place. He's got 36 kilos of ballast. James Nash and Gordon Shedden are on row 3. Shedden, as championship leader, carries the most ballast, so that'll make life a little more difficult for him. And then as we go back to row 4, it's Frank Rathel in the Toyota, Andrew Jordan in the Pertec Vauxhall. Matt Jackson follows in the Airways BMW, then Martin Byford in the VW Golf. Nick Foster, good effort from him at the end of qualifying to move up. He's on row 6 with Andy Neate, who's the first of the 3 Team Aon Fords. They're the rest of them onto O'Connell and Chilton. Then Alex McDowell, who had brake balance problems yesterday. Rob Collard is next to him on row 8. Dan Welsh and Michael Caine. Caine making his debut in British Touring Cars, great to see. Then Dave Newsham and Jeff Smith. John George and Tony Gillam, but Tony now, as we know, in a Jeff Steele BMW. And Tom Boardman with the penalty received. He's right back at row 12 after being knocked back after the incident at Knockhill last time. Liam Griffin at the back, but no Lee Wood, and sadly Lee unable to race today. He had an engine failure in qualifying. Really disappointing for that small team, but Lee very hopeful. Well, he knows they'll be out next time and they'll be fighting fit, so we wish Lee Wood good luck for next time. Now, Gordon Shedden is the series leader, as I mentioned, won here back in 2008 from pole position. Let's have a quick word with him. Gordon, it's Ben in the combox. I know you're carrying maximum ballast. Just what do you think you can achieve with that in the car this time?
Yeah, it's really, really difficult, Ben. You know, obviously this extra 20 kilos as well. I think I'm like 95 kilos heavier than Paul O'Neill, who's a couple of rows ahead, so it's a bit of a thankless task, but we'll give it a blast. Do the best job we can in this Honda Civic and see if we can score some points. Points mean prizes.
Okay, thanks Gordon. Yeah, indeed they do, and Gordon of course leading by just 1 point. So close is the championship between himself and teammate Matt Neal. But difficult one to call this. I mean, the weight obviously will have an effect, maybe later in the race as well. That's when it might have more of an effect.
Yeah, the thing to remember is there are 18 cars covered in qualifying by just 1 second. So it is very close, and you know, small things make a difference. The key is going to be keeping your sort of emotions in check in these races. It's going to be about who scores the most points over 3 races in this close championship battle, and we're going to have to. Neil's already had an incident we've talked about in qualifying. We'll have to see who keeps calm in these 3 races between the championship contenders. But Jason Plato has only one agenda, and that's to win this race.
Yeah, absolutely right. He has won here in the past. In fact, he's won race 2 in each of the last 2 years here at Rockingham. So let's see whether he can get a race 1 victory from pole position. But don't forget that Paul O'Neill going for victory. There's Alan Gow, boss of Toker, of course. Keep an eye on everything as ever. Paul O'Neill, a race winner some years ago in British Touring Cars. Well, what a fairy tale it would be if he could win here today. But to do that, to beat Plato, ain't going to be easy. Then the Audi as well, just see that on the inside of the shot.
And look at that, big gap in front of Rob Austin to the end of his pit box. He's actually giving up three feet there, that he could, 3 or 4 feet that he could move forward in.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder why he's positioned himself so far back. Well, let's see how he gets on.
No, he's moving forward now.
We're all set then for the start of round 22 of the British Touring Car Championship. Lights out, away we go, and it's pretty even start up front. That Neil actually has had a great start on the outside. Watch the Honda on the outside. Rob Austin's gone up to second. He's got past Paul O'Neill to the rear-wheel drive Audi, as we thought. would get off the line well. Watch for Matt Neal versus Paul O'Neill in the battle for third as Plato leads. It's Plato, Austin, and now we're looking back from on board with Andrew Jordan. Jackson just ahead of us. Shedden trying to go around the outside with the extra ballast on board. Doesn't quite have the speed out of the hairpin, and it's Plato leading, and off to the side goes Dave Newsham.
Oh, that was Matt Neal, I think, spinning. Matt Neal spinning with contact with Jackson.
Well, Matt Jackson had a horrible time at Knockhill last time. Look at the leaders. Rob Austin really going for it with Jason Plato, Paul O'Neill, and look how these three have pulled away from everyone else.
Yeah, well, that is... Oh, there's touch! Oh! That's the old tap on the rear of a rear-wheel drive car, flicks the car off. Great disappointment for Rob Austin. I don't think that was intentional at all.
No, that's right. If it had been a front-wheel drive car, he probably would have...
Martin Byford with the bonnet up on the VW Golf.
How does he see where he's going? He doesn't, well, that's the answer. He's always been pushed out of the way as well. So poor Martin Byford as Plato leads, O'Neill in second. Look at the rest of them jostling. This is on board with Chilton, looking back at Jeff Smith as they head around at the end of this first lap. Andrew Jordan has got up to third, by the way, through all of this chaos. And then I think it's Shedden, but I need to check that, whether it's Shedden or Neal after that. So it's Plato who leads. It's Paul O'Neill in second place. Then it is definitely Andrew Jordan chased by Shedden. So Shedden's had a great first lap, but Matt Neal is down in sixth place.
Yeah, Matt Neal managed to save that, what looked like a certain spin. Certainly would have been if it had been the rear-wheel drive car, but he obviously planted the throttle and brought the front round, and he's dropped back to sixth. As we see Shedden attacking Jordan down the inside, just manages to get it stopped.
I wondered, I did think there might be contact there, but they both handled it very well. It's Andrew Jordan, number 77, in third place. Fourth place, the series leader, Gordon Shedden in the Honda. James Nash is in fifth place in the Vauxhall behind them, and then it's Matt Neal, and Matt Neal having to defend from the orange and black Toyota. Oh, look at Nash, he got sideways. That's Matt Jackson in, and he was leading the championship going into the races in Scotland, and it's all gone horribly wrong since. And there is the Golf with its bonnet up. Oh, that's such a disappointment after their best qualifying performance with Martin in the car.
Yeah, Martin Byford done a fantastic job. We've got Jeff Smith now off and the front wheel's in the gravel, so he's going to get that out. Amazing. Oh, good job, Jeff. Good job.
Meanwhile, by the way, I just see Dan Welsh going through the pits as well, so the Proton also in trouble. A lot of chaos on that first lap. I suppose it's part and parcel of Rockingham. It gets so tight on the infield. Look at the damage on the front end. That's Andy Neat's Ford, who's got a lot of damage. He's under attack from Alex McDowell.
Yeah, and I'm amazed his bonnet hasn't come up. Those bonnet pins have taken a huge amount of abuse. Let's hope they don't pop up while he's on the banking or turning into the first corner. Alex McDowell with a good exit there. He had some problems in qualifying, wasn't as high up as we expected because of some braking issues, a lot of braking imbalance, but he hopes he's got it right for the race, although he's under some serious attack here. McDowell from Tom Chilton going all the way around the outside of Bourbon up from near the back, of course.
Yeah. Whoa! Tom Chilton completely misses his braking and almost goes straight on. Only just got it turned in.
Oh, I really thought he was going to T-bone the car in front there, which I think was, I'm not sure who that was, but this is coming up to turn 2. Nash gets on the grass. Watch behind. Matt Neal runs into the back of Nash, and Jackson runs into the back of Neal.
Yeah.
It was that concertina into the corner.
Yeah.
And then this is a bit late. Oh, that's looking in the back. Yeah, you saw Matt Neal spin the front of the car around very effectively to keep himself going.
Yeah, it's amazing that he got to recover so quickly.
This was in the first corner, looking forward from Andrew Jordan. You see Jackson in front, he's slotted in between the Hondas, and then there's this concertina braking, and Jackson bang into the back. And in fact, Shedden, they all collected, all of them, all collected together.
And that's why the top three got away so much. Look at the damage on the front of Matt Neal's car. You wonder if that's going to survive, or whether there's going to be any cooling issues, particularly. And he's struggling to defend from Frank Rathel. So Matt Neal only in 6th place here, but he's struggling with Rathel behind, Onslow Cole in the Ford, and keep an eye on Rob Collard, back of that group in the BMW.
Yeah, and Rathel actually set the fastest lap on the last lap, the fastest lap of the race, so we know his car's quick.
There is Rob Collard then. The rear-wheel drive cars may come into their own in the latter stages. If he can just keep on terms with them now, he might have a chance later. But there is Plato leading from Paul O'Neill. The gap 1.8 seconds on that last lap. And then the gap back to Shedden in third. Where is Andrew Jordan? Jordan has dropped way back, so something has happened to Andrew Jordan and he's no longer a part of that lead group.
He's in the pits actually. I can see him in the pit lane from that commentary box with the bonnet up, so he's suffering there. But I'll tell you what, Collard could be the danger man, because this is early days in the race, and the front-wheel drive cars will not get quicker, they'll get slower, and he's already on the back of this group. So watch out, Rob Collard.
Yeah, definitely keep an eye on that. Frank Rathel still going quickly at the moment. There's the group back with you had Neat going through. There's on board with Andrew Jordan. Look, what is...
How many times have we seen that look this year?
I know.
We saw it with Matt Neal in the gravel up at Alton Park. We saw it with Matt Jackson at Knockhill, and now Andrew Jordan. Head in the hands.
Well, it's like you were saying yesterday, Tim. It means so much to these guys. They live, eat and breathe every single lap, let alone every result. And for Andrew Jordan, things have gone horribly wrong. Really, the last couple of events have gone his way. Now there's Andy Neat, Tom Bourman behind, and Alex McDowell. Dave Newsham comes through, Chilton, and Rob Austin trying to come back from that earlier spin. Where is he? He's 17th now.
Yes, the drivers, they don't just go racing at weekends. Believe me, it's the last thing they think about when they go to bed, and it's the first thing they think about when they wake up, and it's on your mind the whole time. It is it's an addiction, this motor racing, and it really does get to you.
Yeah, wonder if there was any as a result of the contact on that opening lap. I don't know. There's Tom Bourman, who's got past Andy Neat up into 10th. So Bourman actually has fought his way quite well here, because remember, with that 6th place grid penalty, he started way down towards the back. McDowell's trying to follow him. Neat hasn't given up on getting back past the black Seat, but so far he can't do it. In the background, I can see there was some moves going on. I think, there, McDowell going side by side with Andy Neat as well, so it's all going on behind this group. Oh, they made contact. McDowell having to clamber over the curb in his attempts to get through.
Yeah, well, McDowell was always going to go to the inside. There could be further contact here, but Neat closed the door and has managed to stay in front, but that's let Tom Bourman escape. He's one of the few front cars without any damage on, I think.
Newsham not far behind, and then Chilton is behind that. Michael Caine, by the way, is involved in the dice behind that on his debut. He finds himself fighting with Tom Chilton in the other Airwaves Ford, as we look at the Team Aon Ford with all that front end damage. Still, Alex McDowell can't find a way past. He's got Dave Newsham and Rob Austin bearing down on him. Austin up to 15th place now, so you do get the feeling that Audi's fast. Oh, you don't really want to be rubbing there, do you?
Not really. The problem is that I think the Ford is still a bit quicker than that Chevy on the straight, and McDowell's getting frustrated because he's getting held up in the corners so much. He's going to have to dive to the inside.
Oh, no! And the fastest section of track. Oh, my goodness, he goes to the inside, does Alex McDowell. Thankfully, he didn't go to the outside there, because that would have been a heavy hit against the wall.
Yeah, they both did extremely well just to keep those cars out of the wall. I mean, McDowell was down below the white line. There is no ruling actually on staying above the white line. There's a lot of smoke coming from a car in front there.
Yeah, somebody's off there, and Michael Caine just getting past. Let's just take another look at this. This was worrying, Tim.
Well, Newsham's gone all the way around the outside. I mean, the two of them came off the corner, touching out of the chicane, so they were slow onto the straight, and then just came together here. Oh, it did so well to hold that, so well to hold it.
And so well they didn't just turn right, because if you turn right there, my goodness, that would have been a massive accident. That's relief. So that was frightening to watch, but thankfully both guys are okay, and just brought out the yellow flag. So let's remind you what is happening. Jason Play. Oh, Newsham's off. Newsham in the ground.
Well, he just got through that battle. I thought he was in clean air.
I don't know what happened to him, but anyway, he's out of the race. Another disappointing run for Newsham. There's your race leader. It's Plato by 2.1 seconds over Paul O'Neill in another Chevrolet Cruze, the car that Jason was driving last year, but now it's in the Go Mobile colours. O'Neill in second place. Shedden is in third in terms of the championship, of course, for Gordon Shedden, who leads the points. This could still be a wonderful result, but Rathel has now got up to fourth. So Frank Rathel, as you say, he's been lapping quickly, and he's now got himself into fourth place.
Yeah, he's lapping quicker. Remember, that car has slightly wider tyres on, so it should suffer slightly less tyre deterioration during the race, and that car's now working very well. We saw it up in Scotland. This is a good track for Frank, so we're told the safety car may be coming out. If it does, it'll close everybody out. Haven't seen it yet.
No.
Oh no, we've lost Collard just as the race was starting to come to him, and the safety car would have really helped him. Ironically, it may be him that brings it out now.
Yeah, he was running in 8th place there, so real opportunity, and we do gather the safety car's coming out. Yeah, confirmation on your screen. There's no way he's digging himself out of that one on his slick tyres. And that is such a shame for the BMW driver. Let's see if we can spot what happened here, Tim.
He was starting to make his way through the traffic. He's up behind Onslow Cole as they come down towards Pit Path. Looks down the inside, but it's a very difficult place to pass there. And I guess Onslow Cole didn't see him, and they touched and spun.
Yeah, that's a great shame. Just hit the front, and round goes Collard into the gravel. So we're just about half distance in this first race. Oh,
yeah,
damage.
Onslow Cole with damage to the rear axle there.
Yeah, as a result of that accident, presumably. It's interesting that, because it was the other. Yeah, he's damaged both sides.
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
So that looks like a real handful. Look at it. Even trying to get it into the pit lane's a real hard work. Well, I think he's finally got it in there. So end of race for Tom Onslow Cole. It means Chilton, his teammates, up to 10th place. And by the way, Rob Austin, on his climb back through the field, has done very well. He's up to 9th position now. That's
yeah, he's good. And this will help him, obviously, because it will close the whole grid up, give him a chance to catch up some of that track position. So he's definitely a big gainer, as is the car immediately in front of him, Tom Boardman, who's up to 8th.
Yeah.
Nick Foster, who, remember, out-qualified his teammate Rob Collard, and now could be the guy on the charge at the end of this race. He's actually in 7th. So that's 7th, 8th, 9th battle. They've really catched up. But Neil's going to be under attack. He's the first car in 6th.
Just looking through, you can see the brightly coloured green and pink car just behind Andy Neate there. There's Andy Neate running in 12th. Behind him is Tony Gillam. First race in the Jeff Steele BMW, a very distinctive looking car. Actually, he's having a pretty decent run of it at the moment. Look as though they're trying to send Onslow Cole back out again, are they? That's pretty impressive. So they've changed the rear tyre, send him on his way. Might as well and find out if there are any other problems with the car for the races later on, I suppose. Yeah,
he'll have cold rear tyres though, so he'll have to be a little bit careful, and obviously he'll be wanting to just make sure there's no rear suspension damage as well. All looks to be okay.
Interestingly, McDowell, by the way, who had that spin with Neate, still running. He's down in 17th place, and Neate is still running, as we saw a moment ago. He's in 12th as Newsham's car gets pulled away. Plato still is sort of following around.
Yeah, we never saw what happened
car.
to Newsham, unfortunately, but he could have been on for a good result.
Yeah, Rathel up in 4th place. There is Kolosgos still to be removed. It's going to take another moment or two. And fastest lap, as we mentioned, went on lap number 4 to Frank Rathel. So he could well be danger man in the NGTC Toyota, tucked in behind the championship leader there. Now, let's just behind them James Nash. And then behind him is Matt Neal. Now, we saw Andrew Jordan go out of this race. We saw the disappointment from in-car. Let's go down to the pits, because Simon has got Andrew with him.
Andrew, I can see just how disappointed you are. Tell us what happened.
It's touring cars, obviously everyone drives into each other by the looks of it, but the Honda's so flipping quick in a straight line, and I could see Shedham was using his tyres up a lot in the early lap or two, so I sat there quite comfortably, and he comes up to me like a rocket ship down the straight, and I just chirped my fronts locked into the hairpin, and he got under me, and I thought it was fair enough, I'll blend in behind him in front of Nash at the exit. And his car, from where I was sat, looked like it just straightened up into me and gave me a good whack in the left front wheel and done something with the steering rack. So from where I was sat, it looks like you can't get alongside anyone these days without them driving into you. So as I say, he had the corner, he got underneath me, fair enough, and I was going to get on with the rest of my race, but it looked like he just straightens up and tries to run me off on the exit, but most of the guys run you off in a gentle, subtle way and just lose you a little bit of traction, a little bit of grip, but that was a bit too hard for my liking.
Something you're going to take up with the officials?
Well, the looks of it, there was a lot in that race. I'm sure they'll be pretty busy, but I don't know how much of it will, what will come of it, I don't know. But more important, we need to get the car fixed and get it for the next one.
Thanks, Andrew.
So the race gets underway again, and it's Jason Plato from Paul O'Neill as they get under green flag, and it's Frank Rathel under pressure from James Nash. James Nash having a little look up the outside, but then cutting back to the inside. Matt Neal follows them, trying to take advantage of anything that might happen here.
Yeah, I get the impression Matt Neal's car may be a little bit hobbled at the moment, so we'll see what happens. But at the moment, it's definitely advantage Plato. He's sitting in the cat seat at the moment with Paul O'Neill behind him, taking points away from Shedden and Matt Neal.
Yeah, that's right. So Plato trying to open up that gap that he'd established before the safety car came out. As we said, this could fall into the hands a little bit of Nick Foster. He runs in 7th place in the BMW. You just see it in the shot there as he chases after Matt Neal, but it'll take a few laps for the front-wheel drive cars to start to suffer again. They've had a little bit of a respite on their front tyres. They've had time to cool them, so it'll take a few laps before Nick Foster perhaps can take advantage. He's got Tom Boardman breathing down his neck as well.
Yeah, I was amazed listening to Andrew Jordan saying he could tell that the Honda was working its tyres very hard on lap 1. That was, I think the drivers are sort of making it up now to justify their arguments. It's all getting a bit more vitriolic with every interview.
Yeah, it is. Well, we are into that part of the season where it gets so crucial, doesn't it? Everybody knows they're up against it now with this and 2 more events after this, where you've got to be scoring points at this stage of the season, otherwise you might as well write it off. And you can sort of feel that tension all through the paddock at the moment. Looking back from Gordon Shedden, he's in a great spot here. He'll be very happy to be sitting 3rd. He's carrying maximum ballast. He's got the NGTC Toyota behind. He will be a bit concerned about that. And interestingly, there was a lot of radio communication, because we can hear a bit of that communication. Gordon was talking to his team a lot during that safety car period about what lap times people were doing. He's really trying to get his head round who's quick and who he's got to worry about.
Absolutely, but one thing Frank Rathel has done is he's established a very good reputation amongst the other drivers as being a very fair driver, a very safe driver to race against, and so at least that will fill Gordon with some pleasure that he isn't a hothead. He may be a young driver, last year Ginetta junior champion, but he is a very, very thoughtful driver. Done a ton of racing previously in karting, an old head on young shoulders.
Yeah, Ginetta Cup champion. He's a little bit old to be the junior champion, but
yeah, sorry.
but there's a good battle behind between Nash and Matt Neal. Matt Neal, of course, desperate to try and get past here, because even with the damage on the car, he can't afford to lose too many points, not only to his teammate Shedden, but to Plato as well. So he will be fired up to try and get past this Vauxhall of James Nash. But Nash will be fighting for independent points. And I tell you what, with Jordan retiring, Jackson out of this race, James Nash could be on for taking the lead in the independence points here, so he's got to keep clean, even if it means giving up the place. James Nash needs a position like this.
Yeah, he does, and he's obviously going to defend. Matt Neal looking down the inside and braking later. Yeah. And behind Collard, Foster, sorry, he may get past Nash as well.
Oh my goodness, I don't think James Nash was counting on that. He was sort of prepared to give up one place, but he's going to lose another here if he's not careful, because the BMW almost gets him. But Nick Foster can't go around the outside. But nonetheless, Foster is right in the hunt here. Tom Boardman's behind him. So is Rob Austin in the Audi. So what a mix of cars we've got in here. Different configurations as Boardman gets up the inside of Foster. But Foster won't give up. Stays around the outside of it. Lovely stuff.
Some great racing amongst this group here. Really great racing. And you do know one thing, that's Rob Austin is really going to have a go here. Yeah. And Chilton there, he believes his car was hitting broken differential or incorrectly set differential. And he told me before the race, watch me go. I've got a good car under me.
Well, he's going pretty well, isn't he? There's no doubt about it. You're riding on board with Tom Chilton here, behind Rob Austin as the jostles around, trying to find position to get past that little group of cars ahead of him. Look at them lined up, one behind the other. You've got a Vauxhall at the front of the queue, then the BMW, then the Seat, then the Audi, then the Ford, and chasing is another Ford because Michael Caine in the Airwaves cars at the back of the group.
Yeah, Michael Caine making his British Touring Car debut. Amazing, he's been racing in England so many years but never done a British Touring Car race, so great to see him on the grid.
Yeah, it's great to be commentating on him in British Touring Cars as Tom Boardman moves to the outside, but then might come back in again as Foster gets outfoxed a little bit. Great stuff from Boardman, but watch Austin behind, he might take advantage too.
That was a brilliant move by Boardman. Has he got the job done though?
Yeah, because Foster's fought back, and that's totally justified, and well done by Nick Foster. Has a great finishing record this year, Nick Foster. I think he's only failed to finish one race out of all of them, and that was an accident back in the early part of the season, but he's had a remarkably good finishing record. Let's hope he keeps it here, because it's tight now with Boardman.
And you've got to say, the layout of Rockingham does absolutely lend itself to touring car racing, doesn't it? The nature of Rathel getting very close to Shedden now, but the nature of the circuit really lends to some great side-by-side, corner-by-corner action.
That's right, and of course the spectators in the grandstands can get to see virtually the whole circuit as well, so fantastic viewing, and it's a big crowd here today, I can tell you. The sun glinting off the cars as they come down the straight behind the pits through the Brooks chicane and back up onto the banking once again. You're looking back from series leader Gordon Shedden and Frank Raffle. Frank had 2 podium finishes with that car at Knockhill, remember, and it seems to be bang on the pace here as well. Shedden might be struggling a bit in the latter stages with that extra weight on board his car, that 45 kilos of ballast, and then behind them Matt Neal is definitely catching them. Having got past James Nash, he's putting in some quick lap times.
Yeah, you can see now, I mean, the NGTC turbocharged cars, that's Frank Raffle and Rob Austin, have had their boost just reduced 0.05 of a bar for this meeting from Knockhill, and it seems to be that Raffle's car and Shedden's on the straight. Shedden's, despite carrying all that ballast, seem to be pretty equal.
So Frank Raffle still finding it difficult to get past the series leader, but being caught by former double champion Matt Neal at the same time, so this could be pretty exciting in the closing laps. Plato still leads this race by 2.3 seconds over Paul O'Neill. It's a Chevy 1-2 at the moment, with Shedden in the Honda in third. Raffle, there you are, looking at him in the Toyota in fourth place. Matt Neal catching them, James Nash in sixth, Foster in seventh, Boardman eighth, Austin is ninth, Tom Chilton still 10th, and Michael Caine only 1 position out of scoring points in his debut race in British Touring Cars. So let's see what happens in the remaining laps.
Yes, I think I heard Gordon Shedden on the radio talking about understeer coming into the car. We expect that at this stage of the race anyway, but Neal is certainly lapping half a second quicker than this pair and catching them very quickly.
Interesting on the onboard, listening to how careful he is on the throttle coming out of that chicane.
Yeah, he's trying not to spin the wheels up, because the moment you do that, you take an awful lot more out of the tyres, and of course you lose traction.
But Raffle actually wasn't that quick out of there, and he's under pressure now from Matt Neal. It's Matt Neal on the attack on the Toyota. Is he going to make the lunge from a long way back? No, he's not. He's more sensible on this occasion to have a go. He's got the points to think about here. Remember, Matt Neal only 1 point behind Gordon Shedden in the championship coming into this race. There are the 2 Chevys that are running away up front. Plato versus O'Neill, as Raffle gets back on terms with Shedden once again.
Well, we've always said that the Hondas are the really good cars on the brakes, and side by side come Boardman and Nash again, continuing this battle. But Raffle was able to brake, if anything, later than the pair of them. Obviously they're carrying that little bit of extra ballast, but so it's a really close battle between these 3.
Yeah, it is, and Matt Neal now right on the boot lid of the Toyota. What's he going to try? Couldn't try a lunge into the hairpin here at Tarzan. He goes down the inside and he takes the place. And Frank Raffle, again, sensibly sort of gave him space, and actually he might even get the place back if he can cut back cleanly enough here. They're still side by side as they come down towards the chicane.
I don't think there's going to be room. I don't think he's tried, but Matt Neal's closed the door. It's very difficult to pass into there, and if you're not completely past, which Frank certainly wasn't, but again, very fair racing from Frank.
Yeah, no, and he has been sensible about it. He's determined not to mess things up in the championship for people, whereas he still wants to get good results with the car. Shedden versus Neal now for third.
Yeah, that's the question. Is Neal going to attack Shedden again?
Yeah.
With the way the points are at the moment, he's really got to have a go at him, but he will be mindful of what happened at Alton Park. And you can see again there, definitely Raffle's car better on the brakes.
Now, further back, that was Chilton a moment ago. Oh, with Michael Caine. That was all a bit unfortunate, wasn't it?
Well, it was a bit, really, because we've seen the end of it there, because Chilton ran wide and then came back into the path of Caine.
Yeah. So Caine is now 10th, by the way. And that was Jeff Smith, was it? Yeah. So I don't quite know what happened there. McDowell battling with Chilton, who's now in a bit of trouble with that car, I think.
Yeah, but Michael Caine has got through there and has taken that place, so that puts him into the points.
It does, so that would be a great start to his touring car campaign, and we'll see whether he manages to hang on in there. Meanwhile, you've still got Shedden versus Matt Neal, the 2 teammates, as Matt Neal has a little look down the inside. They must be careful. They actually did make contact here as well last year in race 2. Oh, look at that! He's got through it. No, he hasn't. Raffle right in the middle of the 2 Hondas.
Yeah, but Raffle will get this position back because now he's on the inside.
Yeah. So he's got back past Matt Neal, so that helps Shedden, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely does. But it shows that Matt Neal's prepared to have a go. He needs every point.
Yeah, they're racing for the title here. And look how they've been caught by the BMW Nick Foster. That rear-wheel drive car really is coming into its own, but it's only 2 laps to go. So they're all running out of time. Shedden in 3rd place, Raffle in 4th, Matt Neal in 5th place, Nick Foster doing another outstanding job in 6th place as Raffle comes down the inside. Oh, he locks up. Watch for Matt Neal taking advantage here, but he can't quite get there.
That was brilliant. I mean, Rathel, he locked up the rear, but that's normal with the front-wheel drive car and the rear being unweighted there. A brilliant move. He knew he was better on the brakes. He's teed that up over the last few laps, and he's cleanly through. Fantastic. Another podium potentially for Rathel.
Look at Foster pressurising Matt Neal now. And Matt Neal, from going to challenge to try and get third, he's now really having to fight hard to hold on to fifth place here behind his teammate. This is great stuff. And Nick Foster, outstanding once again. Now, is he really going to have a go at getting past these two championship contenders? Let's see in the last part of this race. Remember, Jason Plato still leading, but what's going to happen here as Shedden goes out wide? Matt Neal's down the inside again. He's taken the place surely this time, and Nick Foster might be able to do the same.
Yeah, if Nick Foster can move over, which he has, Shedden's lost 2 places. Shedden's been struggling desperately with the tyres over the last few laps, and Neal and Foster had no choice but to attack.
That's right. That's where the 45 kilos of ballast comes into its own, I suppose, in the last couple of laps. But Foster, you know, he's not given up yet. This is a lovely, lovely drive from Nick Foster. Remember, he's come into touring cars this year. He's a guy who's done a lot of rallying in his early years of his career, sort of stopped motorsport for many years, came back and started doing a bit of motorsport a few years ago, decided he really wanted to have a go at touring cars, and I tell you what, he's been very impressive, and he's on for a good result here today, no doubt. He did have a second place at Croft earlier this year, but this is a hard-fought position from a straightforward grid, not a reverse grid. Good effort. There is Tom Boardman and Rob Austin right behind. That's for 7th place.
Yeah, Rob Austin, a good fight back actually from his spin, helped by the safety car. Could get out the inside here.
Oh, he's there, but can he hold it? Boardman going to try and cut back, but the Audi's done it.
He's done it, and has got the inside for the long left-hander through Piff Paff. He's got that position. A great race, some really good drives throughout this race, but is Foster going to get Neal?
Well, that's the he could still maybe have a go. He's going to cut back. Oh, Neal having to be very defensive. Foster forced to try and go deep around the outside at Tarzan. The leaders are coming through the final corner. It's Jason Plato who is going to stroke it home to victory. An accomplished win for Plato, no problem at all, from pole position. And Jason Plato takes his 6th victory of the season here. His 66th career win. Second place goes to Paul O'Neill. And who's going to be third? Well, it's Frank Rathel in 3rd place. He's got that one wrapped up. So Rathel in 3rd, and 4th does go to Matt Neal, with Foster in 5th. And then Gordon Shedden, despite a big fight there, had to settle for 6th place. You've got a little battle going on here. Tony Gillam on the inside, trying to get past Jeff Smith. Michael Caine does get points in his first ever touring car race, because he brings the Airwaves car home in 10th place. We just saw Martin Byford coming down through. He was a lap down after coming in the pits earlier, so he finished in 20th place. But, well, a fantastic race. Jason taking victory there, and of course never, as you said earlier on, never count him out of the championship, because if he carries on like this today, he could be right back in the hunt.
Absolutely, and we can see how the Hondas are now struggling with the weight and everything. Gordon Shedden on the radio saying, I've got absolutely nothing on the front end. In other words, his tyres are completely shot. And you know, he said, I also thought I looked after the tyres. So it just shows it's all, you know, counting against the circuit, the weight, everything is making it a struggle for the Honda now. This is Jason's time to actually gain some points, and for once he was not involved in any controversy throughout the race.
No, he just was out in front and stayed there. Paul O'Neill didn't quite have an answer, but he was only 2.6 seconds behind him at the flag, and that's a great result for Paul O'Neill. He'll be delighted with that, still chasing that victory, but it matches his result here at Rockingham last year, matches the team's best result as well. So well done to him. He's had a couple of second places earlier on this year, but that's a really good effort from them. And there's the Paul O'Neill fan club, suitably enough.
Well, I'm glad they're still supporting him. You know, he's had a tough year, but if you've got real fans, they'll support you through thick and thin. And Paul will be absolutely delighted with that second place, and he's done a good job.
What about Rob Austin? Because he had that bit of contact with Paul O'Neill on the first lap. Now without that, because I think Austin dropped about 19th, and he got back to 7th. So that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, and obviously he will start 7th for the second race, with the top 5 cars carrying ballast in order. Now, he's not out of this, and with the start he could make, he could be into the top 4 or 5 on the first lap. So he's still on for a good weekend.
So NGTC cars looking strong here, with Frank Rathel third and Rob Austin in 7th place, having been right down at the back early on. So the result, Plato wins from Paul O'Neill. It's a Chevy 1-2, the Silver Line version ahead of the Go Mobile car. Frank Rathel third again, that's another podium for him. Matt Neal fought his way into 4th place. Nick Foster an excellent 5th in the WSR BMW. Gordon Shedden surviving really at the end there to finish 6th. Austin, as we say, up to 7th. Boardman are fighting 8th. James Nash just didn't really have a car to work with in the latter stages. He dropped to 9th. But well done to Michael Caine, taking points on his debut for Airways Racing. Andy Neate was just outside the points, followed by Alex McDowell, who both survived one of the scariest incidents in that race. Tom Chilton was 13th, Jeff Smith behind him, then Tony Gillam, Liam Griffin and John George, Chris James, Tom Onslow-Cole and Martin Byford finishing the race despite the bonnet coming up on him in the early stages. So let's just see what that means in terms of the championship table then. Matt Neal retakes the top spot. 2 points only the gap between himself and Gordon Shedden, but sneaking up to 3rd now because of Matt Jackson failing to finish. That's put Plato from 4th to 3rd. He's closing the gap a little bit. Behind them, James Nash, but Nash will still be quite happy with that because it will have scored him useful points in the Independence Championship, and that's what matters to him. And then we've got Chilton, Collard, McDowell and Paul O'Neill. Let's get down to the pits with Louise. Thank you, Simon. The cars are firing up on the grid as we get ready for this second race of the day, but unfortunately not firing up, and that's Dave Newsham. He's had a horrible day already, and the car, something will happen to him on the out lap, the reconnaissance lap, just to get onto the grid, so he's not even there.
No, very disappointing. I mean, he really hasn't had much luck, poor old Dave, since he came into the championship. Started off the year in the normally aspirated BMW and made the switch to special tuning, which is definitely a more competitive car, but not quite having the rub of the green, but it'll change, and at least he has 3 races in one day.
Absolutely, so we'll see whether he gets back out later on. Hopefully he'll have a better run in the 3rd race. Everybody else I think is on the grid. Just remind you that Lee Wood, who was due to be racing today, had an engine problem yesterday, so he's not able to contest this, but away goes Plato. O'Neill follows him and they go away on their formation lap, and it's a chance for us then to look at how they line up. And so Plato now, having won the race earlier on today, he carries some 45 kilos of success ballast, and he's joined on that front row by Paul O'Neill, who carries 36 kilos. Frank Rathel next up with Matt Neal on the 2nd row, and now Matt's car a bit lighter, but particularly behind him Gordon Shedden, who was carrying maximum ballast earlier, now carrying none at all. Nick Foster in the BMW, keep an eye on him, he was very impressive in the latter stages earlier on. Back on row 4, Rob Austin and Tom Boardman, then James Nash, who is joint Independence points leader after that earlier race. Michael Caine is next to him on the 5th row. Andy Neate and Alex McDowell, who had a bit of a falling out after their little incident in race 1. Tom Chilton and Jeff Smith on row 7. Gillam and Griffin together on row 8. And then John George and Chris James on row 9. Tom Onslow-Cole, Martin Byford on the 10th row. The Golf had that bonnet fly up earlier. Dan Welsh and Rob Collard on row 11. Then Dave Newsham should have been on row 12. Andrew Jordan's at the back. Matt Jackson's at the back. And I gather was that Rob Austin's going to be starting at the back.
Ah, yes, I didn't know that actually. Was he late out of the pit lane? He was came out of his garage very late, and so if you miss the closing time of the pit road exit, you have to start at the back. That's a great shame for Rob, but he came through well in the first race, so no reason why he can't do it again.
He's obviously making life hard for himself, but he's enjoying his fight through the field. Driving a historic Formula 1 car, wasn't he, last week at the Nürburgring, so a slightly different style of driving this weekend. So everybody making their way around for this second race then, and Jason Plato looking to make it 2 out of 2. You know, he managed that at the first event of the season at Brands Hatch this year, won the first and second races of the day, so we know he can do it, but he is carrying the ballast now, and it's going to be a question of what those guys around him can do to try and stop him rushing off into an early lead. And of course Paul O'Neill's going to be up there on that front row as well. Let's see if we can get a quick word with Tom Chilton and see how he feels about things. Tom, it's Ben in the commentary box. You've got a bit of work to do still, mate, from where you are on this grid.
I have indeed, yeah. After the first race I went from 14th to 9th and I got hit off quite hard, which broke my pad steering. I don't think anyone realises the last third of the race I had no pad steering, and I had to work very hard for that 13th after I got hit off. So yes, I got another fight in this one. So yeah, it's going to be exciting, Ben.
All right, Tom, have a good one. And well,
Cheers,
it's not much way we can tell when they've lost their power steering, is it?
No, there's no way we can tell at all up here, but it does make for a very difficult car to drive, especially a front-wheel drive car, actually.
Yeah, of course he did go very deep into the hairpin a couple of times. That's probably partly why.
Yeah, couldn't turn the wheel. But interesting racing prospect with Plato obviously now carrying maximum ballast, and Shedden particularly having lost all ballast. So it'll be very interesting switch round in performance, we hope.
So, 2 Chevys on the front row. You got the Toyota of Frank Rathel and the Honda of Matt Neal just in behind them. Then Nick Foster's BMW, and then Gordon Shedden lining up there as well. We've really got a lot to look forward to. There's a gap where Rob Austin would have been on the 4th row of the grid. He's starting from the very back of the field. There he is, just rolling into position, but he could be one to watch. He's got Andy Jordan and Matt Jackson ahead of him, so 3 fast cars at the back, lots of fast cars at the front. Let's see what's going to happen then in round 23 of the championship. Lights out, away we go, and Paul O'Neill makes a great start. Rathel makes a terrible start. Plato is going to be side by side with O'Neill here, but O'Neill can't quite get right alongside him. And look at Nick Foster in the BMW. He's up into 3rd place, under attack from the 2 Hondas.
Oh, spin further back, that's John George, but he keeps it going.
Wow.
Just avoiding there, Tony Gilliam avoiding, but a great start by Foster in the BMW.
Really good stuff. Now, how is it going to be down here? This is where it gets very, very busy, as we saw in the first race. Plato, O'Neill, then Shedden and Neal. Frank Rathel lost out a loss at the start, didn't get the Toyota off the line, but otherwise this is looking relatively... Oh, no, spoke too soon, somebody's on the grass.
Yeah, and it looked like Nick Foster had pushed back to sort of 5th or 6th place, so he must have lost out at Dean Hairpin.
Yeah, that's right, so that's a bit of a shame for him. On board with Gordon Shedden as he chases the top 2. So what a good start this has worked out for Gordon, because he started 6th on the grid and he's now in 3rd behind the 2 Chevys. And remember, Gordon's got no weight on, or no extra ballast on board.
Yeah, he's running at the base weight, which, like all the turbo cars, is 20 kilos heavier than it was at Knock Hill, but
yeah,
he hasn't got any success ballast.
That's right, I have to be careful what I say now. But anyway, we've got the 2 Chevys, and O'Neill having to defend already from Gordon Shedden. Frank Rathel in 4th place with Matt Neal behind him, and then Nick Foster, as you say, who did lose out. Tom Norman is in that queue as well. So is James Nash in the black Vauxhall, and then the first of the Fords, which I think is Tom Onslow Cole, with Jet as they come over the line. It is Plato who leads. A good start by Jason Plato, and it's O'Neill who's under attack here from Gordon Shedden.
Yeah, it looks like Shedden's car's a bit quicker now on the straights with the ballast off, and of course Paul O'Neill's carrying 36 kilos for the first time this year.
Yeah, and Shedden takes 2nd. He's up in a 2nd place, although he's trying to force his way back there with Paul O'Neill. But Gordon Shedden is in 2nd place and now chasing after Jason Plato. Well, Shedden led the championship coming into this event. He might have lost a couple of points to Matt Neal in the first race today, but this is a big opportunity opening up here for Gordon Shedden, with an opportunity now to chase down Jason Plato. Paul O'Neill's having to defend 3rd from the Toyota of Frank Rathel.
Yeah, I spoke to Mickey Butler from Dunlop, and he confirmed my suspicion that the NGTC tyres of Frank Rathel were in very good condition at the end of the race. So looks like that car's handling its tyres. They are a bit wider, so more work for the tyre to do, or to spread the work evenly over the tyre. But his tyres were in very good condition at the end of the race.
So a little bit like watching the rear-wheel drive cars be strong at the end, we've got to keep an eye on the NGTC cars for being very strong at the end as well, and we saw that from Rob Austin earlier too, didn't we? So just checking through the order at the moment, Tom Chilton is actually in 11th place, so he's the first of the 4. Oh no, Neitz is in 9th place, he's the first of the Fords, and then Chilton is in 11th place. McDowell is in 12th place, and the 2nd of the Silverline Chevys. But the lead car is that of Jason Plato, but Shedden was quicker on that lap. Gordon Shedden closed 3/10 on Jason Plato on that last lap, as we take a look at the start from Rob Collard's point of view.
Right at the back, so the whole road in front of him opens up. He goes to the left-hand side. That's perfectly allowed. A fantastic start. Pulled a lot of places there. There was some action behind him, but then again right down below the white line. You could do that flat on the first lap when you're accelerating off the grid. You wouldn't do it in the race though.
No, he made up a lot of ground, but I think he must have lost somewhere as well. I'm not sure. He was with Kane there, so that's about right. That's where he is now, as he's come past in 17th place. But there was a bit of a collision, I think. Oh,
That was Griffin on his right, actually. Oh, no, it was Kane, you're right. But Kane obviously got hit as well and pushed him into Collard, so that's what spoiled that excellent first lap.
Yeah, somebody else involved that we didn't see on the inside. Now, Shedden has got a bit closer to the back of Jason Plato, so the gap has narrowed even further on this lap. In the background, you've still got O'Neill versus Raffle, but I tell you what, at this stage of the season is a really interesting confrontation between Jason Plato and Gordon Shedden.
Yeah, but Shedden's car is going to be quicker on the straight because Plato's carrying full 45 kilos of success ballast that Shedden isn't, so watch that Honda gobble up the Chevy down the straight here.
Another fastest lap from Gordon Shedden on that lap, and he's going to try and do it early. He's going to go for the inside here and try and get down the inside as he passed Paul O'Neill earlier, and Plato doesn't fight it that hard. In the background, Raffle has got third. Raffle has got that place from O'Neill.
Yeah, I think Plato knew that he'd be fighting a losing battle if he tried to defend that, although I would have expected to have been defending it harder because it is for championship points as well. And I suspect he may have a plan though to maybe get closer to Shedden later in the race if the turbo car works its tyres harder than the normally aspirated Chevy. But he certainly made it very easy for him. I can't believe Jason hasn't got a plan. He's too wily for that.
Yeah, I would think he wants to try and get the two of them away from everybody else. What he doesn't want to get is joined in a fight and then be caught by all the other turbo cars, because then he would be in trouble.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. Yeah, he's better off going with Shedden than letting Raffle get up behind him.
Yeah, and then as you say, perhaps the tyres on the Honda will suffer in the closing stages. So Jason Plato playing a wily game here, and it might still work for him, and we're only on lap 4 out of the 16. Bit of a look up behind from Frank Raffle, but Raffle holds it in third place. O'Neill in fourth. Matt Neal is close behind in fifth.
Yeah, Raffle, obviously we didn't talk about that. He made a very good pass on Paul O'Neill and Dean Hairpin as well, and we've seen in race 1 already how strong that car is on the brakes, and well, Raffle is just becoming a very consistent podium runner, isn't he, at the moment? Long way to go still in this race, but he's certainly banging them in.
Yeah, it's great to see a youngster like him move up into touring cars. Meanwhile, Matt Neal now trying to get past the Chevy, but he's not got alongside as Shedden had done earlier, and he's not able to do it. So Paul O'Neill's safe in fourth for the moment, from Matt Neal behind him in the Honda. Tom Borman in the black Seat is running in sixth place. Nick Foster in the BMW is seventh. James Nash eighth. Andy Neat is in ninth position. And in fact, I think Neat's just been passed by Jeff Smith in the second Pertec Vauxhall, the white Pertec Vauxhall. Has actually just got past Andy Neat, so that's a good move by Jeff Smith, and he's in ninth position now.
Yeah, and good run by James Nash. He coming into this race was tied for the Independence lead with Matt Jackson, and Matt Jackson's having another poor race, only in 18th place. So this could see Nash take the lead in the Independence.
Now this is all a bit fun. There's Matt Jackson, that you mentioned, trying to cut his way through. He's being chased by Collard, who've gained a place there from Griffin, and these two are making a bit of progress, but there's a long way to go still in the race, and Collard getting quite close to the back of Jackson.
That's a very wildly differing lines coming out of the corner there, and but it looks like Rob Austin's now got alongside. I can't see Collard conceding that though, not from the outside.
No, absolutely. So he has to hold on to that position, but Austin is cutting his way through. He's now inside the top 20 after that, having to start from the very back of the grid, so he's behind Collard. Back up with Plato, and Plato's been passed by Raffle. So Raffle takes second place. It's Shedden leading, Raffle second, Plato third.
Well, it didn't take Raffle long to catch up, did it? And I tell you what, Raffle may well have the car to win this race, you know.
Borman off at the hairpin. Tom Borman has spun the Seat, or was he helped? It's a situation down there where you often get a little bit of a helping hand, but we'll have to take a look and see what happened there. But you're right, I mean, Frank Raffle is in shape to win this thing.
Yeah, I've no doubt about it. I mean, Frank has got a small amount of weight on the car, but he's got the biggest tyres and a turbocharged engine that is very quick. It's very good on the brakes, that car, and I would say this was his time to be a bit more aggressive and to go for it.
Well, are we about to see the first ever NGTC victory in British Touring Cars? Still a little way to go in this race. We're on lap 6 out of 16. And at the moment, it's still Gordon Shedden who has the advantage in his unballasted race success-wise car, chased by the orange and black Toyota. And then, of course, it is Jason in the Chevy. Jason holding on as gamely as possible in that car. And these three are a little ahead of O'Neill and Matt Neal, because they've dropped to about 1.6 seconds behind, and I think that's what Plato wants. He wants to just stay on terms with the top two at the moment. And look, Matt Neal now down the inside of Paul O'Neill. Oh, surely they're going to touch, and O'Neill goes wide, and Matt Neal takes the place.
Well, they were both waiting for the other one to break first, weren't they? And in the end, they both braked at the same time, and jointly a fraction too late, but they both got round and carried on. And I must correct myself, actually I said Shedden was running without any ballast, but of course he has got 9 kilos from fifth in the first race.
Yeah, a little bit of ballast, but yeah, not too bad. And he's still having a bit of a problem staying in front of Frank Rathel here, because Rathel is getting ever closer to the back of that Honda. Well, this would be a big objection. Plato would be quite happy if Rathel took the lead, because he'd take points from Gordon Shedden, of course, so yeah, Plato won't worry about that.
No, exactly. I mean, Plato will sit there and watch Rathel attack and hope that something comes of it. Rathel's clearly a lot quicker, really. I think Shedden is holding him up at this point in the race, and we're not even halfway through the race yet.
No, and if he looks after his tyres as well as he did in the first race, he's going to be even stronger in the second half. So as they come around this time, it will be to go on to lap 8 out of 16, so we're half distance here. Shedden win the fastest lap of the race earlier on, but right now you have to say that Frank Rathel is potentially the fastest of anybody here, and that Toyota looking so stable out on the banking and on the infield twisty section as well. Under braking he's not close enough to have a go. You're looking back from Shedden. See how close Plato still is though. Plato is still in this hunt.
Yeah, he is, but there was, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, Rathel certainly couldn't catch Shedden on the straight, the power part of the circuit. So his advantage is lying with the grip and the handling of that car around the corners, around this inner section, and certainly on the brakes. If he gets a chance on the brakes, I think his best chance is going to be into Tarzan, the hairpin, where he can carry some speed through the left-hander Gracelands before. We're coming up to it now. I think Rathel is quicker through here. He can carry speed through here, and then outbrake Shedden on the inside of Tarzan. I think that's going to be his best place at some point in the race.
This is a really close tussle between the top 3 in this race at half distance. It could be anyone of these 3, or perhaps even Matt Neal, who's behind. Good exit again from Frank Rathel. Plato goes out wide behind. Still Shedden has the advantage though, and it is the Honda that will have the edge as they turn into the Brook chicane to come around and complete this 7th lap and go on to lap 9 out of 16 after this one. Rathel, the 24-year-old from Preston in Lancashire, in his first ever season of British touring cars. He's a Ginetta Cup champion, however. He comes from a motor racing family. His father very involved in racing of all sorts over the years, and Frank has grown up in a motorsport environment, but nonetheless this is impressive stuff from him.
Oh, it's hugely impressive stuff. He makes very, very few mistakes, and he's learnt his craft of racing in touring cars very, very quickly, and as I said in the first race, an old head on young shoulders, and well, this is going to make Alan Gow very happy, isn't it?
Yeah, because this is, oh, look at all this, what's going on in the hairpin? My goodness, Onslow Cole on the inside, McDowell, they're all fighting for 11th place, and that was Andrew Jordan in there, Matt Jackson. Wow, this is fraught stuff. I didn't think they were all going to make it round, but they did.
Wow, look, and here's the action, and Rob, well, who are they catching up? They're actually catching up with Welch in the Proton just in front.
Yeah, that's for 11. Look at Jordan and Jackson, these two, fighting away for independent points, and Rob Austin's on their inside in the Audi as well, and he might get both of them. Yeah, he slipped through on the inside. Austin was 16th a moment ago, and I think he'll be in 11th place as a result of that.
Oh, that was great racing. We know what a fantastic racing driver Rob Austin is, and an aggressive one, an opportunist, and he took that opportunity there. Jackson looking up.
Oh, yeah, I wondered whether he was going to get into the side of Austin, but Austin had enough of a margin there. So there you've got the Proton of Dan Welsh. He's actually 11th. McDowell must be 12th, and Onslow Cole there with a very, very battered looking Ford, trying to make his way round.
Yeah, that's bordering on a black and orange flag, isn't it?
Yeah.
Parts hanging off. I'm sure the guy on the course will be looking at that. At the moment it looks like it's going to stay on, but we're sort of getting to the realms of Gordon Shedden at Snetterton with the wing hanging off, aren't we there? So.
Yeah, I wonder if he can find a barrier to wipe it off against, but it might be difficult if you try that against the brick wall. Okay, Rob Austin up on the outside. He's in 13th place, but it might be 12th any moment. No, not quite.
Oh, he cuts back just in front of Jackson there. I hope he knew he was there. He's trying to get a nice cutback that could easily wipe the nose off. Seems to have just become a little bit static at the front here. So, Michael K. Well, we said on the grid that he had some power steering problems, and maybe they've decided to get that car in and try and fix it for race 3, give themselves the most amount of time. He did also have that contact when we saw on the first lap with Collard, but he got hit on the right-hand side and we didn't see what happened.
So Rathel not quite breathing down Shedden's neck as he was a lap or two ago, but still in the hunt. We've got Shedden leading, Rathel second, Plato third, Nat Neal fourth, Paul O'Neill having a bit of a quiet time in fifth, then James Nash, and then Foster, and then this lot with Rob Austin rubbing side by side with Alex McDowell here. This is for 12th place, trying to come around the outside. Surely that's going to be a bit of a tall order, but he might get a decent run out of this chicane. Of course, and he hits the back of McDowell there, slides McDowell, and surely the turbo-powered Audi will then have the edge as they come on the banking. Well, he lost himself momentum as well. Yeah, but watch that Audi go. He's going to get right round the outside if he's lucky. And the Audi, is it good on the brakes? Rob's certainly brave. He's loving this, isn't he? Whereas we're back with the leaders briefly because Rathel's got even closer to Shedden once again. So there's nothing to choose between these two, and Shedden perhaps beginning to suffer a touch with that front end grip. The front tyres now perhaps beginning to complain because we're on lap 11 out of 16. Well, this is the point that he was starting to slow up in race 1, wasn't it? Obviously he's got less ballast on at the moment. He had 45 kilos because championship leader in the first race. He's only got 9 on now, and also we heard him say that he changed his setup to Matt Neal, so could be kinder. Andy Neat and Tom Chilton racing for 9th. Now let's see, this was Austin a moment ago. Did he complete that move? You wondered whether it would be on the brakes. No, oh dear. And that opened the door on Matt Jackson's car. Yeah, opened the door literally, didn't it? But, well, we'll see what happens. If that continues to flap, he'll definitely get black and yellow flag. But also what's interesting is I think Matt Neal is catching Jason Plato for 3rd. So that great rivalry, and if you were with us earlier, you'll know that there's been even more of it this weekend. After qualifying, there was a bit of an altercation between them, and now you're seeing Plato and Neal running very close to one another on track. Well, this is what we were looking for after their qualifying spat. Would they end up on track together? And Matt Neal, a couple of tenths quicker on the last lap, now up behind Jason, and well, let the games begin. They started yesterday, or let the games continue. Let's just remind you that they were both given suspended 6th place grid penalties for their behaviour yesterday. If they misbehave out on track, then the next race they would have to take a 6th place penalty on the grid, so... Or indeed off the track. Or off the track, which it was yesterday, yeah, you're absolutely right. So they will be being watched, there's no doubt about it, as Shedden still leads from Rathel. Plato not able to maintain the lead pace, but Shedden just keeping it under control for the moment. We'll see whether he can continue to do so. We're on lap 12 out of 16, so there's still a bit of room here for things to change. Remember, in the first race, Shedden dropped back really in the closing stages, but he was carrying more ballast then. In the background, we've still got Paul O'Neill running 5th, James Nash in 6th, Nick Foster in 7th, and Jeff Smith is still running, I think, in 8th place. And McDowell has gone wide. I don't know whether he was helped or he might have been helped. He's going a bit slowly at the moment, but trying to get back up to speed. Well, I can see this is what happened to McDowell. Tim, let's just see Rob Austin behind him. Oh, he got turned around. He got turned around, yeah, exactly. Yeah. That was Rob Austin giving a bit more straight line speed and basically perhaps just not judging it quite right. So that turned McDowell round, who's dropped down the order as a result. Black and orange 4. Car number 4 at the moment is being shown, which is interesting. That's for the Ford, isn't it? That's for Tom Onslow Cole's car. Yeah, Tom Onslow Cole's car. So well, that was the car that had the bumper flapping at the back, wasn't it? Yeah, but the door still flapping on the Jackson car. Look at that. Yeah, I'd have thought that was a little bit more serious, to be honest. But maybe they're going to prepare. Oh, yeah, they're now preparing a board with number 7 on it for... oh, that could be nasty. Andy Neat spinning right in front of everybody. My goodness, that was lucky, wasn't it? That was very lucky. Those are the accidents we hate to see when a car comes back into the path of others. That's 2 incidents Andy's had today that he's sort of got away with. Let's hope they keep it at that. Gordon Shedden from Frank Rathel still the top two here. Hops it over the curve a bit more that time, Shedden, than we've seen. And Plato looks as though he's sliding around, but Matt Neal is right there with him now, as Rathel also bears down on Shedden. This race has still got plenty to show us. Across the line, the gap just 0.3 of a second between these two.
Yeah, and the black and orange flag, going out for car number 7, Matt Jackson, for the flapping door.
So, where is Frank Rathel? We know he's fast up here. We know the car's good under the brakes. And look at Matt Neal. Matt Neal down the inside of Jason Plato, who doesn't fight it. Matt Neal is through and into third place.
Yeah, no, Jason Plato not fighting that at all. So, curious. I'd have thought he'd have actually defended a little bit, but chose not to.
No, he's not going to get involved in that. Feels that it's not worth it. Matt Neal up into third place then. So, the two leading championship contenders are, of course, Matt Neal and Gordon Shedden. Shedden looks as though he's on possibly for a maximum score here, but it does depend on what happens to Frank Rathel, whether he can get past, and it would put Shedden back in front in the championship. It's a real seesaw between the two of them at the moment. Two teammates fighting for it. Meanwhile, Nick Foster really having a go at James Nash. Oh, he's got down the inside, and he's got past.
That's a really good move, and it's hard to pass there. You can probably only do that in a rear-wheel drive car. We saw Rob Austin up the inside earlier, and it's one of the strengths of the BMW and the Audi, the rear-wheel drive. They can really put the power down rail around that long left-hander.
Lovely stuff from Nick Foster, who is relishing the BMW's handling here at Rockingham, and he's driving superbly. That was such a good clean move as well, and James Nash will just have to say, well, fair done, I've been done there in a fair way, and Nash is back down to 7th, but he is still the top independent of the top independent runners. Anyway, he might not be top independent. In fact, Frank Rathel is top independent finisher if they stay the way they are. But in terms of the championship, James Nash is still outscoring his big rivals, Andrew Jordan and Matt Jackson, and that's what he'll be focused on as we go back on board with the race leader, who is indeed looking back at the leading independent car in this particular race.
Yeah, a lap and a half to go, and Rathel needs to be getting a little bit busy now. He needs to, we need to see some aggression from Frank now. This is an opportunity to win, and most drivers have been really pushing hard here. I'm not saying he isn't, but we need to see some aggression, because he reminds me so much of Colin Turkington. Really smooth, very controlled. You seldom see him smashing the car or hitting other people, and we need to get some aggression in there to, he should be looking down the inside and making Shedden think about defending.
Yeah, well, he's still got a little bit of time, but as he comes around next time, it'll just be the one lap to go. Shedden is very aware that his mirrors are being filled by that NGTC Toyota. In the background, you've still got Matt Neal in 3rd, Jason Plato in 4th, and look at the background, Nick Foster trying to go past Paul O'Neill. He's done him. He's got round the outside of Paul O'Neill. I think he'll hold on to it, and that's into 5th place there. And Nick Foster having an absolutely superb weekend at Rockingham.
Now, we knew the BMW would be good at the end of the races, and Nick qualified that car really well, and he's getting his just rewards now as he power slides the car up onto the banking.
Teammate Rob Collard is down in 12th place, Andrew Jordan 13th, Tony Gilliman, another BMW, is in 14th place, and now O'Neill seems to be struggling a bit because James Nash is lining him up too. But as we're on the final lap, Gordon Shedden it is who leads, who could well be on for the maximum point score to put himself back on top of this championship table, as Matt Neal won't be able to defend that little lead he had after the first race. But this will also, whatever happens here, surely it's going to be the best ever result for an NGTC car, because Frank's had a number of 3rd places over the last couple of events, but he's looking at 2nd this time.
Yeah, he is. It could be the best result, as you say, and he's certainly driven a great race, and he'll be very happy with that. And I think maybe in the back of the mind he's thinking, I'm happy with 2nd.
Yeah.
But that first win's not far away.
It's not, and I wondered for a moment there, Shedden was very wide. Actually, he had it under control, but he was pretty wide out of Gracelands. We're through Tars and Hairpin. We've just got the final chicane to go. Does Rathel go for it? No, he takes a wide line. He's going to look for a decent exit out of the corner, but I don't think he's quite going to have enough to defeat the Honda. The Honda has been in superb form here as they accelerate out of the final corner. It's going to be the run to the flag, but it is Gordon Shedden who takes victory, and Frank Rathel takes his best ever finish in 2nd. Matt Neal comes home in 3rd place. Jason Plato has to settle for 4th. And what about the next one through? Well done to Nick Foster. Another fine drive from him. He lost out a bit at the start, but he recovered to 5th. James Nash finishes 6th ahead of O'Neill, so O'Neill dropped back a bit more there at the end. Jeff Smith, an excellent 8th. So well done to Jeff Smith. Rob Austin 9th from the back of the grid, Rob Collard 10th, and then Chilton and Onslow Cole. So a lot going on there, but Shedden was able to defend that lead and hold on for another victory this year, and you know, he's looking more and more like a possible champion.
Yeah, Plato was unable to carry the 45 kilos of success ballast to a win, and the Hondas came through without much resistance, it has to be said, from Plato. Great drive by Frank Rathel, great start up into second place, a brilliant result for him, the best ever NGTC result. As you say, good result for Nick Foster in 5th, and Rob Austin all the way from the back up to 9th.
Yeah, that was impressive in the Audi, no doubt about it. But it is Gordon Shedden who takes the maximum point score. That's his 5th win of the season, so he's now matched his teammates in terms of number of race victories, although Jason Plato won ahead of both of them because of that win he had today. He's now on 6 wins, and they certainly are spreading them amongst each other at the moment. But of course we've still got the reverse grid race to go later on this afternoon, and we're still to find out how many cars will be reversed. Are we going to see? It could be anybody from James Nash, Paul O'Neill, could be Jeff Smith on pole, it might even be Rob Austin, or it could be Rob Collard. We'll have to see what happens when we do the draw for that reverse grid, but we could be in for a very exciting final race of the day as well. But there's no doubt that a few people have not had such a good day, the likes of Matt Jackson, for example. He was way
Matt
outside.
Jackson, that's effectively well, it's the 5th race out of the points on the trot.
Yeah, bad news. So Gordon Shedden takes the victory narrowly from the Dynajet Toyota of Frank Rathel. Matt Neal finishes in 3rd, beating Jason Plato, and Nick Foster recovering well to 5th place. James Nash also passed Paul O'Neill on that last little run to the flag. Jeff Smith finished a good 8th place, and then Rob Austin was 9th and Rob Collard was 10th. Outside the points, Tom Chilton and Tom Onslow Cole in the 2 Team Aon cars, Andrew Jordan and Tony Gillam, then Alex McDowell and Liam Griffin with Chris James, Martin Byford, John George and Matt Jackson. So let's see what's happening in that seesaw contest for the championship. Shedden goes back ahead once more. So he's now 5 points ahead of Matt Neal. Jason Plato is there in 3rd place. Matt Jackson has failed to score for 5 races. He's stuck on what he earned at the end of the Snetterton race, and he's gone through the whole of Knockhill and more than half of this meeting without scoring a point. James Nash, though, is now, I reckon, going to be leading the points in the Independence Championship because they're scored differently to the overall. So although he's behind Jackson in that table, you'll actually see in the Independence table, I think Nash will be ahead. And I think it will mean that 888 will have taken the lead in the Teams Championship as well. So there's a very close contest going on between those two. Andrew Jordan, Tom Chilton, Rob Collard, Alex McDowell and Paul O'Neill complete the top 10. And the normal scrutineering checks taking place down there.
Disappointment for Plato though, because he was 35 points behind coming into this race. He got that down to 25 after the first race, but now it's gone up to 31 points again, so hasn't made the progress he'd like.
No, and he just didn't try and even fight them that much, did he? He just gave them the space and they were able to go past him. So, but it is Gordon Shedden who takes victory here. Add to his tally this year. And this guy could be marching on his way towards the title, but to do it, he's still going to have to beat his teammate, and they both are hungry. And remember, Matt Neal still wanting to become the first driver to win 3 titles since the mid-80s when Andy Rouse last managed to do it. Both Jason Plato and Matt would love to be able to do that. Let's go down to the pits with Simon. Thanks very much, Simon. I think we could be in for a different winner in this one, because with 10 reversed, we've really got a chance now for somebody else to establish themselves. We've got two rear-wheel drive cars on the front of the grid, and you wouldn't bet against Rob Austin with the pace we saw from him earlier. No, certainly very, very quick. They'll both be quick off the line, but of course Rob Collard has the knowledge, the experience. He knows how to win. The conditions are iffy as well, and Rob has more experience of that. But Rob will do anything he can to win. We know what a great racer he is. So I think whilst you don't want to predict anything from the third race with the reverse grid, they've got their best chance. Let's just hope they make it through turns 1 and 2, okay? Because otherwise, as we know, it can really crack off around here, can't it? It certainly can. There'll be some incident further down. I spoke to the guys in the pit lane. Certainly, from the point of view of the championship, Matt Neal and Gordon Shedden want to try and keep their powder dry through those first 2 corners and then pick up places as best they can over the rest of the race. Right, well, let's see what's going to happen then. A bit of cloud around, but actually it hasn't rained really over the last 5 minutes or so, so it looks as though we're on for a bone dry race. They're all on their slick racing tyres, and it is Rob Collard looking for his first win since back in 2009. Didn't get any victories in last year's championship. Came close last time, of course, chasing Tom Boardman across the line at Knockhill. And for Rob Austin, who starts on the outside of the front row with that NGTC Audi, he's very much in his first season of British Touring Cars, but he's a British Formula 3 race winner. He's won in Ginettas and in GTs. He knows a thing or two about winning races. Away they go, and it is Collard, Austin and Smith leading the way on the formation lap as the other cars now beginning to make their way from the middle of the field there. Away they go. You're on board there with Tom Chilton just looking back at Andrew Jordan, and they're all the way okay. Chris James is in pit lane, so he's obviously got a problem, but otherwise looks as though everyone's on the grid except for Andy Neate as well. So Rob Collard on pole with Rob Austin next door, then Jeff Smith and Paul O'Neill. Paul O'Neill might have a good chance here, depending how the race goes. James Nash and Nick Foster are on row 3. Then it's Plato and Matt Neal. So the two great rivals find themselves together once again. Frank Rathel and Gordon Shedden, they were second and first in that last race. Now they're back on row 5. Tom Chilton and Tom Onslow Cole right behind them in the two forwards. Then Andrew Jordan and Tony Gillam, Alex McDowell and Liam Griffin. Chris James, as I say, he's in pit lane at the moment. Martin Byford, who had that bonnet spring open as a result of contact earlier today, he starts on row 9. Then John George and Matt Jackson, Dan Welsh and Michael Caine, Tom Boardman and Dave Newsham. And that's pretty much how they line up for this third race of the day. Now, Andrew Jordan hasn't had a great day. He got hit early on. That put him out of the first race. So he's starting this one, having made a bit of ground. He's starting this one in 13th place. Let's see if we can get a quick word with him. Andy, it's Ben in the comm box. Looks as though that rain it's not going to fall for this race. You should be on a decent dry track.
Yeah, I think so, mate. It seemed like it was quite heavy initially, but now it's dried up. Nothing on the screen now, so I was just feeling the track conditions for get the brake bias right. So I think they're there now, and hopefully make a bit of progress forward in this one.
He had to do a lot of work to do in the race too, coming from the back after that incident earlier. So how many places can you fight your way past in this one, do you think?
I think there's going to be some fireworks in this one. Obviously in race 1 we're on the receiving end of a bit of contact, but what goes around comes around in touring cars, so forget about that, and we'll try and go forward in this one. It'll be hard, but Jeff's up at the front, and hopefully he'll have a great race as well from there.
Great, well, have a good race, Andy. And there he is, right in the middle. I mean, if it's going to go wrong anywhere, Tim, it goes wrong in that middle part of the pack.
Well, it tends to, doesn't it? There's a concertina effect certainly into the first and second corners, and I was talking to Martin Byfield down there. He said, I just can't believe all the incidents I've been involved in. I said, well, in touring cars you've got to look not at the car in front or the car in front of that, you've got to look 2 or 3 cars ahead just to see what's coming up, and that's really the way you have to drive.
I was talking to Michael Caine, who of course has been making his debut this weekend, and he says, you know what, before actually racing in touring cars, sometimes you think, well, what's the attraction of it? He said, having done it, he said, this is just wonderful. I don't want to do anything else other than race a touring car now. He's loving it.
Well, he is. He's had some car problems so far with power steering and turbo boost pressure in that last race, but he just loved being a part of this. Such exciting racing. Nothing is predictable.
Yeah, that's right. As he said, as you said there, you have to think 4 or 5 cars ahead, and he loves the sort of almost tactical aspects of trying to get past other cars. So we are getting ready then. Rob Collard starts on pole position. Can he convert that into a win for the WSR crew, who are up on the pit wall there watching to see what's going to happen? Last couple of cars are moving into position here. It's been a great day's racing already here at Rockingham. Thousands of people in the grandstands now ready to watch the final episode of today's events around this Rockingham Speedway. Let's see what happens. Collard versus Austin off the front row. Jeff Smith and Paul O'Neill, remember, back on the second row. Away we go, and it's a good start from both front row men. And look at the rear wheel drive advantage, pulling them both away from the guys behind. Massive advantage for both Collard and Austin. Paul O'Neill then leads the next group. Jeff Smith didn't get off the line particularly well in the white Vauxhall, and he's being passed around the outside by James Nash, I think. And yes, Nash has got himself in a 4th place, side by side for the lead. Austin takes the lead in the Audi. O'Neill goes very sideways and out wide and loses several places.
Yeah, despite the advantage they had, and it's now Rob Austin in lead, and those two two rear-wheel drive cars got a great start, but Nash is all over them already. And, well, here we go, side by side, Neil and Shedden.
Oh, don't hit each other, guys. We've seen it before. Shedden and Neil will be careful not to hit each other. We're on board there with Andrew Jordan just behind the two Hondas, of course, with the reverse grid they started way back. But it is Rob Austin who leads in the NGTC Audi, chased by Collard in the BMW. James Nash up to third place now, ahead of Jeff Smith. Paul O'Neill, who lost out at the Dean hairpin, he's back there, and you're on board with Collard in second place, chasing down the Audi. And these cars, of course, with the rear-wheel drive, tend to be strong at the end of the race, but they're looking pretty good on the start of this one.
Yeah, they take a little while to warm their tyres up, and so they'll be going as hard as possible as Nick Foster slips up the inside of Plato.
Yeah, that's right. So the BMWs are going well here, even in the early stages of this race. Saw Frank Rattle in the middle of that pack, the Honda's back there as well. But as they come across the line, it is Rob Austin who leads from Collard, then Nash in third place, but Nash is coming through in a second and sweeps past the BMW. The front-wheel drive turbocharged Vauxhall really going well in the early stages here.
Yeah, he got a great exit from the chicane, and well, he just got superior traction, and that can only show that the rear-wheel drive cars just haven't got their rear tyres up to temperature yet.
It's got a big cloud in the background, but it's bright where they are right now. So Nash into second place, Collard back to third, then it's Jeff Smith behind them, and then Paul O'Neill. Nick Foster's got to the front of that next group with Plato in seventh, Shedden is eighth, there's Matt Neal right behind him in ninth position, and then Andrew Jordan holding on to 10th, ahead of also Cole and Rathel. I think that's still Borman's actually ahead of Rathel there, so he's gained that position on that last lap. Tom Borman managed to slip past the Toyota as Plato in the pack there, trying to deal with a car ahead of him that's not turbocharged, of course. It's another S2000 normally aspirated car.
Yeah, it looked like Plato diving up the inside. Remember, he shed some weight after the second race, so he's 18 kilos heavier than he was in the first race, which he won, but somewhat lighter than he was in the second.
Yeah, look at Paul O'Neill battling away here with Jeff Smith, so he's managed to get that place back. So Paul O'Neill has moved himself back into fourth position now in the Chevrolet, the Go Mobile car. But up front it's still Austin from Nash. Nash very close to the back of the Audi as they sweep over the line and into the first banked turn here at Rockingham. Nash, nothing to choose between them. The Audi really leans into the corner big time, but Austin holding the front at the moment. Nowhere for Nash to go. Third still for Collard, and then O'Neill trying to catch them all up again.
Well, it's been remarkably incident-free for a third race, reverse grid race so far, but we just get the feeling already that the pack is just concertinaing up, and there we go, Plato up behind Shedden.
Yeah, up behind the championship leader is Jason Plato now, Gordon Shedden. So is there a chance for him to take advantage? This is on board with Gordon Shedden, looking back at the Silverline Chevrolet of Jason Plato, filling his mirrors.
Yeah, it's a close battle there with Neil also in there, obviously, just behind Plato. So all three championship rivals running together.
Yeah, that's right. So let's see what happens. Is Plato going to have a go up the inside? Not quite there. Still chasing them. They're all so Shedden actually has got past Plato there, didn't he, on that lap? So Shedden actually managed to get in front of Plato because Foster up ahead of him in the BMW. Jordan's at the back of that group as well. So Plato still finding his work cut out. He's splitting those two Hondas here as Rob Austin continues to lead. We're still in the early stages of this third race. James Nash is keeping the Audi honest, but Austin has fastest lap on that lap. So here comes Nash though, really good run through turn one. He's going to attack down to the hairpin, he's got the inside line. Really good chance for James Nash. He gets to the inside, gets the car turned in as well. And as long as he doesn't run wide, he should have it.
Yeah, good move there. Rob Austin's car looks quite sort of nervy right on the apex of that banking on turn one. It really looks a little bit unstable, whereas Nash's car just absolutely planted to the road.
Well, Nash said they've been struggling a bit today so far, but that car's looking good. And Neil and Shedden again, side by side, mostly touching each other, and they've lost places. They've gone back about 3 places. Plato's got past them, as he, I think, and there's Foster, so it's been a big change there on that lap.
Yeah, because Shedden was behind Foster. He's dropped back. Plato's got in front. Jordan's got through both of them. So real shake-up there.
Yeah, massive change. And Plato is the big beneficiary of that. So Plato is ahead of that pack from Foster, Jordan, then the two Hondas, which have really lost out here. They are being chased by Frank Rathel, who's been a feature all day long, but of course these guys now are at the bottom end of the top 10, and Plato has got himself ahead of the Hondas, and that could be crucial.
Yeah, Gordon Shedden had a lot of praise for Frank Rathel, not surprisingly, since Frank didn't actually attack him in that second race, but you're just saying what a quality driver Frank is, and how respectful he was that he didn't actually do anything. Now here we go.
This was on board Shedden, so what happened here? Foster's up the inside. Oh, it was
Foster tapped Shedden, pushed him wide, he saved it, but that's when Plato went through.
Yeah, and at the same time Plato was already trying to get past Neil. Look, there. Ooh. So Plato made the move on Neil, and in a separate incident Foster hit Shedden.
Yeah, Plato actually got 3 cars in one go there.
Yeah, that really opened up for him. When it comes together, that's pretty nice. But Foster, Shedden has now dropped back behind Neil. Yeah, so there is Foster, who's certainly trying a bit harder now, isn't he? He's enjoying running up with the front runners, and that was a bit of a lunge down the inside. He certainly went for it, and Shedden wasn't prepared to leave the door open, so the contact was made between the two of them. So it's still James Nash that leads this race. There's Rathel now trying to get past Shedden as well, but he's also got to think about Tom Boardman in the black Seat on his rear quarter panel.
Yeah, I'll tell you who the quickest man on the circuit is. It's Jason Plato at the moment. He's absolutely flying, the fastest first sector, and he's really trying to close the gap to the cars in front, which of course is Jeff Smith.
Yeah, so Plato in 6th at the moment, chasing down the top 5. Dave Newsom in the yellow car, yellow and black Seat on the inside, trying to get past Jackson. He's done it. Matt Jackson pushed down to 14th place, so he's still not looking at getting any points here. So things not going at all well for him. He's chased by Alex McDowell as they come out of the chicane. Behind McDowell, you've got Dan Welsh in the Proton, and then Tom Chilton, Michael Kane, Martin Byford, and Tom Onslow Cole. Some real front-running names. A lot further down the pack than you might have expected, but still racing absolutely flat out here. We're on lap 6 out of 16, and the Honda's there. Shedden tries to go back past Foster, couldn't quite make it round the outside.
Yeah, Shedden was late on the brakes, actually had no choice but to go to the outside of the BMW, but still managed to pull the car in and stay in front of Rathel.
So Andrew Jordan just ahead of that group. He's in 7th, this is 8th, 9th, 10th, and it's Rathel who takes that 10th spot. That was a pretty opportunistic move.
Yeah, that was what we wanted to see in race 2, and obviously now Frank's decided it's time to race, and he's managed to put a pass on Sheds.
Yeah, so championship leader Gordon Shedden not looking to be picking up many points, and he's been passed again, hasn't he, by Tom Boardman. I wonder, is that car all okay? There's something flying around there, but Shedden, oh yeah, there's definitely a bit of debris being kicked up around, so he's already fallen off the car further up the field.
Well, Shedden is carrying maximum ballast, 45 kilos, and you know, we saw how that hurt the cars in the first 2 races, so perhaps not surprising. Tom Onslow Cole's miserable weekend continues. Strangely no speed from the Fords this weekend.
No, and we hadn't got Andy Neate in this race anyway because he had an engine problem, so the only one Ford is there, the Team Aon car of Tom Chilton, still in this race, battling away with Michael Kane, but they're down in 17th and 18th places. Look at Nash lead. He's got a good advantage now over Austin. Paul O'Neill catching that lead group a little bit, and Plato definitely getting close to Jeff Smith, and a big lock up from Andrew Jordan as Rathel gains another spot. That puts him into 9th now.
Yeah, really charging forward now, and Plato does have the fastest lap of the race on lap 5 at 24.5, so he's got a quick car.
Yeah, very fast indeed. But James Nash up front, still looking for his first ever British Touring Car victory. He's got the gap up to 1.4 seconds now over Rob Austin. He looks fairly comfortable, but let's wait and see. We're not quite halfway through this race yet.
Yeah, and James was one of the drivers saying he was really struggling with the tyres, so he's going to hit that cliff or that wall fairly soon, whereas if you like, Collard in 3rd is still only 2.1 seconds behind. That can very quickly be eaten up as the tyres go off. Plato on the wrong side of Jeff Smith as they approach the final chicane, but don't write Collard out of this yet.
Oh, Smith braked late, but Plato braked even later. Around the outside, maybe Jeff Smith decided not to get too involved in all of that. Plato's taken 5th place, so the Chevy is picking up some places, getting past some of the turbo cars in this race 3 and taking advantage of Jeff Smith there to move into 5th. So it's Nash, Austin, Collard, O'Neill in 4th and Plato in 5th. Now the gap is quite big between O'Neill and Plato. There is O'Neill just going into the hairpin. There's Plato, and the gap is some 3.5 seconds.
Yeah, Plato is 6.5 seconds off the front man at the moment, but things can change. Good on we go. Oh, down the inside. That's
Foster. And he swapped back again on the exit of the corner. It's one way then the other with these two, isn't it? But they're fighting for 11th now, so they're outside the points. They've got Tom Boardman in 10th just ahead of them. And Shedden not looking in great shape to score well. His teammate Matt Neal is in the points, but only just. He's in 8th place, so that will close things up. And I'll tell you what, if Plato could get a podium out of this, it will really bring the top three in the championship much closer together.
It will, because obviously there's nothing between Neal and Shedden, but Plato, having been originally 35 points behind coming into this meeting, reducing it to 25, if he can outscore them in this, it's going to be under 20 points.
Well, there's another couple of points for Matt Neal if he stays there, because he's just got past Andrew Jordan and moved into 7th position. So that's very handy from Matt Neal's point of view, certainly in the battle with his own teammate. That will put him perhaps back on top going into the next event at Brands Hatch. So let's wait and see. Still plenty of laps to go as James Nash continues to lead, although only by 1 second on that last lap. Almost identical lap times from the top 3 drivers, 1:25.5 from Nash, Austin and Collard.
They're all very, very close. Yeah, you're right. So positions held at the moment, but plenty of battling further down.
So is Matt Neal going to go on a charge here? The next target for him, but some 3.2 seconds up the road, is Jeff Smith. We saw Plato pass Smith a little while ago. Of course, Smith is Andrew Jordan's teammate. So interesting if they do manage to catch him, but they've got a bit of work to be done there. Plato with that fastest lap from a few laps ago at a 1:24.5. And Plato, well, he's not really lapping much quicker than the leaders on the last lap anyway. Plato much the same pace. Looking at Dave Newsham in 14th place. Dan Welsh was behind him, but now Jackson's got past Welsh to move into 15th position, but clearly well outside the points. And then you see Welsh as Alex McDowell is the next one putting Shedden under pressure here. Once again the Chevy right on the back of the Honda. Now is he going to attack down towards the hairpin? Can he find the space on the inside? Not quite. Shedden defends and McDowell doesn't take the plunge down on the inside of the corner, but gets a good exit.
Yeah, just behind them it looked like Jackson getting past Welch there into Tarzan and bringing Dave Newsham through as well.
Yeah, so Jackson is making a bit of progress, so Shedden just about manages to defend from the Chevrolet. So let's just remind you, it's Vauxhall leading this race, the Vauxhall Turbo with James Nash ahead as these two come side by side up onto the banking. Great stuff. Shedden on the outside, McDowell on the inside. Normally aspirated Chevy versus turbocharged Honda carrying ballast, and it is the Chevy that holds sway. There's no doubt with maximum ballast on that car. Shedden is struggling, and here comes Jackson now down the inside, and he takes that place. So Shedden being shuffled down the field, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, this is actually the success ballast working, isn't it? 45 kilos is meant to make the difference between winning and losing, if you like, and that's what we're seeing. That is the difference that's been added to Shedden's car for this race.
Yeah, and he is definitely struggling. Not much he can do there. They're picking him off. There's your race leader, but not by a huge margin. In fact, on the last lap, O'Neill trying to get past Collard, and that's the third. They make a little bit of contact. They're still side by side. Remember earlier this year at Donington, these two had a coming together. They weren't, neither of them, very happy about it. Now O'Neill moving one side, then the other as he tries to get through.
Yeah, he's definitely harrying Rob, isn't he? And watch the exit here from the chicane. See who gets the power down best. Rear-wheel drive BMW or front-wheel drive Chevy. Both pretty similar, you'd have to say.
Two of the hardest fighters in British touring cars, with a huge amount of experience, the two of them, and lots of fans on either side for both Collard and O'Neill. This is a great tussle as they head down towards Dean Hairpin. Will O'Neill go for the plunge? No, he won't. He brakes late but stays out wide, looking for the cutback. No difference in terms of whether one's turbocharged or not. They're both normally aspirated engines, so it's down to the handling. The big difference, of course, is front-wheel drive Chevy versus rear-wheel drive BMW.
And neither of these cars have any weight on them either, so very equal match.
Yeah, definitely. So let's just see whether Collard can hold on to third. Up front, James Nash still leads from Rob Austin. These two fighting for third, and of course in the fight they are dropping back a little bit from the leaders. So it will cost them a bit of time, but that's something they've got to think about and O'Neill will just be concentrating on getting past the BMW.
Yeah, and Paul O'Neill will do anything to try and get a podium, won't he? Just like to get another podium, and they'd certainly settle for that. But Collard will be hoping that the car should really be coming to him now, and he should be able to stretch away. If he's got any chance of winning this, and he really ought to be getting the hammer down now. If we're going to see a tyre advantage, it would be now we'd start to see it.
Not as hot as perhaps Collard would ideally like it to make the front-wheel drive car suffer even more, but if anything on that lap he's managed to just eke out a slight advantage again. 126.2 versus a 126.7 from Paul O'Neill. Behind them, Jason Plato gained 0.6 of a second, but he's still 2 seconds behind as you look at the leaders back down towards the Dean hairpin. It's James Nash who hasn't got this one all sorted. We've still got a few laps to go here, and Rob Austin's got closer again. Yeah, Rob Austin was the quickest of all the front cars last time round, and 0.4 of a second quicker than leader Nash, so his car's certainly working very well. Obviously we saw Nash drive around the outside of him earlier in the race, but I fancy things could be swinging back towards Rob, and who knows, it's been Frank Rathwell leading the charge for NGTC cars, but it could be Rob Austin that gets that first win for them. It could well be. And James Nash here, you've got to feel for him because he's still looking for his first win in the championship. On the other hand, he has now taken the independence points lead, and he will want to hold on to that points lead above all else. Would he sacrifice what could be his first win to do so, or will he be ultra defensive in trying to hang on to victory? Interesting call. Let's watch them and see what happens here as Rob Austin chases down the race leader, and in the background Collard remains in third place ahead of O'Neill. I do like watching Rob Austin drive. He's all aggression, arms everywhere, car's attitude, snaking out of shape. He really drives the wheels off that car. Yeah, wrings its neck, doesn't he? And it is great value. Of course, he had a little nerve from Paul O'Neill earlier today, and that put him way down the pack in the first race. But he's fought back. This reverse grid has put him up front, and the car is fast. There's no denying it. So only a tiny gap between them as they cross the line. We're on lap 13 out of 16. There is Collard a bit deep. Oh, and that's given O'Neill a real chance. Couldn't quite capitalise, but Collard getting very snaky out of the Dean hairpin. Yeah, Collard's been trying to push on and get away from Paul O'Neill, but outbreaking himself into Dean hairpins, left him vulnerable here with O'Neill pushing. Oh, there's going to be contact. That was classy stuff from both of them, and Paul O'Neill just made the move, but that was so determined. Yeah, he was committed to going, and Collard tried to squeeze him, but he's old enough and experienced enough to know when the car trying to pass is committed, and he knew that O'Neill was coming, so they could run through that corner side by side. Great racing by these two old campaigners, but Plato is really rushing up to them now. Yeah, he's definitely catching, so just watch out for Jason Plato, who is getting closer and closer as Collard continues to attack. But of course Paul O'Neill's got the inside line. Meanwhile up front it's all on as well between James Nash and Rob Austin. Here we go into the chicane, and O'Neill just gets the Chevy in front of the BMW, stays there as he was. Got to get a good exit as they come out onto the banking. Again, Plato has gained about a second, if not more, on this last lap, because these two have been fighting so hard. Let's just watch them as they go across. Yeah, Plato was 1.8 behind, he's now 0.9 of a second behind. So good stuff. Smith is still in 6th place, Matt Neal is in 7th, Andrew Jordan in 8th, Frank Rathwell is 9th, as Collard continues to challenge here. But I think Paul O'Neill, yeah, very tidily into Dean hairpin, doesn't lose any ground as a result of that, and they continue on their way. Gap between the leaders though, just 0.2 of a second, and there they are. Yeah, having set identical lap times on the last lap. Flashing the lights, James Nash, he doesn't want to be held up by any back markers. I think that's probably Chris James, who has come out of the pits. Remember, he didn't take the start. Yes, it is Chris James, and he's obviously getting some running in on his Chevy Lacetti. Yeah, that's right. Well, let's see what happens when they catch him. Chris James just doing his own thing. He won't want to be getting in the way of the leaders as they come up, but Nash is really having to think hard here about how does he keep that Audi behind him. The Vauxhall coming back out and still in front at the moment. We're on lap 14 out of 16. They're going to catch Chris James at a... Oh, no, they'll be all right. I think they'll be out from the chicane by the time they'll catch him. Yeah, what they don't want to do is catch him in the middle of turn 1 on the banking. No, that's right. They will be fairly close to him at that point. Maybe it'll be more down at the hairpin when they actually do close up to him. So James Nash and Rob Austin cross the line. lap 15 out of 16. 2 to go. James Nash looking for his first win, as is Rob Austin behind him. Both these guys have never won a round of the British Touring Car Championship. Which one of them is it going to be, or will they both survive? Don't feel Chris James doing very well there, by the way, to get out of the way.
Yeah, excellent driving, and let them pass for the ideal opportunity, but the battle for third's raging, the battle for first is raging. Plato actually hasn't caught up as much as we thought. He had a bad lap that last lap, a 27.3, having done a 26 something the lap before, so don't know what happened there, whether Jason made a little mistake, but that could have cost him a chance of this battle for third.
Definitely, whereas these two are still racing hard. You know, they're catching the leaders. O'Neill and Collard are actually catching James Nash and Rob Austin now.
Yeah, by a second a lap.
So I don't know whether Nash is he struggling with front tyres, or what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, he's been struggling with that car all day on the front tyres. He's, you know, one lap away from the end. It's going to be very tough.
So on board with Collard here, where his rear-wheel drive BMW has looked after its tyres, and again he's almost shoving O'Neill around. Up front, Austin having a little look, but not able to get past Nash as yet. And in the background, that was Plato, but he's still holding on to his position as he gets past Chris James, but isn't really able to close the gap up to those ahead of him. And Collard's going to try and get back past O'Neill. Look at them side by side as we go on to the final lap. It's all to play for here in the final podium spot, and Collard's got back in front.
Yeah, great driving, got a tighter exit from the chicane and the run down the first corner, and I think Paul O'Neill's suffering with his tyres as well a little bit. I think Collard's possibly just left it a little bit too late. He's going to get up to the back of the two cars in front, but I can't see him getting past unless they have an incident. So Collard's just going to come up a couple of laps too short, but who's going to get the win? Who's going to be a next first-time winner in the British Touring Car Championship? Is it going to be James Nash, or is it going to be Rob Austin?
It's going to be tight, isn't it? This is wonderful stuff. James Nash and Rob Austin together, separated by the proverbial playing card, and Austin's going to try everything surely in these last couple of corners to get past James Nash. Nash is holding on with that Vauxhall, and Triple Eight will be keeping everything crossed. The team that has won at least one race for the last however many years in British touring cars have had so much success over the years with Vauxhall. Can they hold on, or will Rob Austin take them on the line? It's James Nash leading as they come down to the final chicane, and it looks as though he's got it, and Collard's close right up as well.
Yeah, that's what I said. Collard's just run out of laps. Another couple of laps and Collard would have been there. He may even get a run to the line, although a bit of a sideways moment and he's lost it. So, across the line, James Nash wins his first touring car race.
Fantastic from James Nash. He wins it from Rob Austin in second place. Collard finishes third. Triple Eight can say they continue their winning record in the British Touring Car Championship. It is O'Neill fourth, Plato fifth, Jeff Smith, I think, yes, seventh behind Matt Neal, and then Jordan eighth, Rattle ninth, and Tom Bourman in 10th place. Great racing there, and congratulations to James Nash on his victory. Look at this little group. Martin Byford fighting for 16th place. He's just got past Chilton, I think. Chilton might have a problem on that last lap because he's just been passed by Tony Gillam, I think, on the line. No, actually Chilton showing on our timing screen is ahead of Gillam as they cross the line. But James Nash, as you say, Tim, has become a new winner in British touring cars, and he has done a superb job.
Yeah, brilliant race, and always good to see a new winner. We had a new winner last race at Knockhill with Tom Bourman, another one today. Fantastic racing here at Rockingham.
Yeah, and well done to Nash, who managed to keep his head, keep under control. And you know, the team he has been waiting for this moment. The team have been hoping for this moment all season. He's looked so strong. Remember, he was leading the championship in the early part of this year, despite not having won a race, because of his consistency. He was really strong at the early part of the year. He started the season with a second, a fourth and a sixth at Brands. He had a third, a second, another third at Donington. Didn't quite get the victory, but he was right up there. Led the championship after Donington. He led it actually after race 2 at Alton. Now finally he's had his first win. And Collard, what's he doing? Having some fun and games by the looks of things. He's celebrating his podium finish. And Collard fighting his way back past O'Neill on that last lap but one really, to make it through. So very, very interesting. Yeah, interesting to look at the final results. We didn't see Shedden feature at all in those final results, so that's a good point. Oh, there was contact between Foster and Boardman. That was on the last lap as well. Look at that. That was all getting a bit aggressive, wasn't it? As Foster was trying to charge through on the inside. But Nash it is who has taken the win in the final race of the day here at Rockingham. Let's confirm that result then. James Nash the winner, narrowly from a brilliant second from Rob Austin, and that's of course his best result with the NGTC Audi. That's a super result for him. And Collard, a podium finish, fighting his way with Paul O'Neill. Those put on a great display for us. Jason Plato, 5th in the end. Matt Neal, useful points for him in 6th. I think that'll put him back on top of the points. Jeff Smith in 7th, Andrew Jordan 8th, then Frank Rattle and Tom Boardman. Out of the points, Alex McDowell, Nick Foster and Matt Jackson, then Dan Welsh, Dave Newsham, Martin Byford, Tony Gillam, Tom Chilton, Liam Griffin and Michael Kane, and we lost Gordon Shedden from all of that. So that makes a change in terms of the points. Shedden was leading going into that one, but look at them now. They are tied on 204 at the end of that race, with Jason Plato 24 points behind. So Jason is still in that hunt as the Hondas keep on swapping from one to the other. James Nash, with his first ever win, not only is he right behind Matt Jackson, but he will have a more comfortable lead now in the independence points as a result of that victory, and it really has boosted his overall score as well. And Andrew Jordan just in behind him too. Well, there is James Nash making his way out of the car over to the team to celebrate that and to see his dad there as well. Fantastic effort by the team. They were down to running just the one car this weekend, but it has come good for Triple Eight. They won the first 2 rounds of last year, remember, with Fabrizio Giovanardi. They've had so much success over the years. Let's get down and hear from James. He's with Siner.